Hey everybody in internet land, YouTube land. I just wanted to share my heart and just what I've observed um, throughout my experiences with God. Boom. Well, I know I always bring up that year, but it was like very shifting for me. In 1994 AD is where I went from purely intellectual Christianity to where I just started encountering the Spirit of the living God. But I just wanted to touch on that, how I see a correlation between faith and the presence, or any of the gifts of the Spirit really, and the manifest glory. The glory is the weight of God. Or there's the word kabod, the boom, where it goes from just water to thick, heavy oil, sweet, thick honey, where the presence of God becomes weighty. Just boom, like it reminds me of like in Brownsville, where the kabod was so heavy that they would have ushers pull people out of cars to get into the building, and where this one person, where it was so heavy they couldn't even get their hand up on the horn, that they just let their head fall on the horn because of the atmosphere that was on the property. Where the glory filled the temple, where the ministers could no longer minister because the weight, the glory was so intense. But I see a correlation with, in Corinthians chapter 12, it talks about the gifts of the Spirit, or sometimes it calls it the manifestations of the Spirit. And basically, there's faith, gifts of faith, healings, miracles, prophetic, like hearing God and whatnots. But in 94, when I got blasted by the manifest glory of heaven, of God, all of a sudden the gifts started functioning on the gifts of the Spirit started functioning, where the voice of God sometimes would get so intense I could feel, God would start talking to me, I could feel his breath on my ear, tangible breath blowing on my ear, and his voice was like this close to audible. It was so intense. And all of a sudden I started experiencing power, and I'd like lay hands on people, and they'd be like convulsing or bawling. They'd be overcome by the power of God. And I remember even myself, it's like I'd like catch the flu, and the glory was so intense it would just like destroy it, and it would just like be annihilated, like where even like sickness couldn't even survive. But anyhow, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, I see a correlation with the gifts of the Spirit and how heavily the Spirit is manifested. Like, I think that in Toronto, because the Bethel teams would be sent up to Toronto to be trained in the prophetic, but I do know that there was like this really intense glory that hit Toronto. and they operated at a high level of the prophetic, but I really believe that it just came out of just that heavy glory, really. But even in my own life, it's like my faith went through the roof as soon as I started encountering the glory of heaven. And throughout my life, when I went through seasons where my focus got off and I started drying up, that my faith started going down and the gifts started to go down too. But then when I would my focus would get back on track and I just started encountering the presence of God, the gifts of the Spirit started operating on a higher level. And I really believe that the more intense the glory gets, the more intense you start seeing heaven just pop open, where you start seeing more healings and miracles, and like with Peter, where his very shadow would heal the sick. That it's all about him, that it's not a self-generating thing, that it's all about the Spirit, it's all about Jesus, that basically the Spirit of God is also called the Spirit of Christ. You see that that interaction in the Trinity, that when you're like hopped up on the Spirit of God, you're hopped up on the Spirit of Christ. And so then you start tapping in and getting overcome by the faith that Christ has. And that's the mountain moving, earth shaking faith that gets her done, that changes things, that changes the face of this planet. But anywho, Holy Spirit, Holy Spirit. But lately it's like the glory waters just keep rising, and that's exciting, because as the glory waters rise, you start seeing the manifestations, the gifts of the Spirit go up. And something else that I want to add is, in my own personal life, like when I read about the Azusa Street revival testimonies, that God, he hops on top of it. Like, I'm not completely anti-information, but I see where you read testimonies of what God has done, and I feel the Spirit of God stir me up, minister to me. Even as I read the Bible, God shows me things, stirs up things, that the Spirit of God, that information by itself just puffs up and fills you with pride, right? That knowledge puffs up. But as you're reading information, God can take that and breathe on it. He can like elevate your faith. He can stir you up. He can open your eyes. But it's still, you still need the Spirit of God, or else it's just a bunch of puffing up. But yeah, the Spirit definitely can take things and breathe on it. Just breathe on it. But we have to be in that place where it's like, God, I need you for everything. Just drop yourself into the Godhead and just swim in it, and just intertwine yourself in it, and let the Spirit just blow you up and just overcome you with his sweetness, and just keep enjoying this. Keep enjoying the wave after wave of infinitely increasing glory. Anyhow, that's my sharing for this morning. Just have a God day. I totally, like, when I was watching I just recently, a couple months ago, they had uploaded there's a channel where they uploaded the Brownsville revival on Father's Day where Steve Hill is ministering. And I can see a shift as he's just going for it and imparting the fire, the power, the glory of God on people. And there's this point where there's like a shift where it gets super intense, and I can see like the atmospheric, like, and it's like you can see like something opened up, and there's like all this angelic activity and stuff, and it just gets so intense. And I was getting so filled up, I thought I was gonna float off my recliner. When I was watching that, I mean, for me personally, as I was watching it, I felt I wouldn't have been surprised if I would have started floating off my recliner or just slipping into like another realm or being transported somewhere. I mean, I'm addicted to that on Father's Day. I'm addicted to that video. I can't wait to just start watching it some more. It really speaks to me. It really fills me up. It really whacks me up in the glory. Anywho, you know, but to each his own, I suppose. I just want to I just want to be a blessing to anybody that benefits from like what I have to share and stuff. But anywho, I do have a website called heavyglory.com. It kind of gives like, when you click on about, it kind of tells like my journey and stuff. And let's see. Yeah, I just want to thank everybody, and I really enjoy like all of you. I love all of you guys, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.